Hello and welcome to the Heal Yourself with me, Sarah Dawkins podcast. We share people who've already healed themselves, along with health and wellness tips from myself. My guest today is Nina Robert, who is a success and mindset coach and the CEO of Success Catalyst. She worked as an executive manager for multinational companies for over a decade before dedicating her life to coaching and mentoring. Following extensive study under Bob Proctor, she harnessed many success stories both for herself and her clients, and she's committed to helping individuals wake up and live fulfilling lives by transforming their ideas into tangible outcomes. Welcome, Nina.
Thank you so much for having me, Sarah. It's great to be here.
It's my pleasure to have you. Thank you. I would love you to share your own healing journey, what you've healed and how you've healed it with our listeners.
Yeah, I would love to share this story. So I'll start from the beginning. It happened in 2021. I noticed a few symptoms that were quite weird to me. That was the first time I noticed them. The symptoms were a double vision only in my right eye. So when I look to the right, it kind of doubles. So that was more annoying than painful, if you know what I mean. So I went to see a few doctors. They did many tests. Most of them were quite painful, like a lumbar puncture and things like that. And I was really not getting the point. Like, why are you doing lumbar puncture and try to see if I can walk properly if I'm just suffering from double vision? So nobody was telling me what was going on. And I went and did some research, and eventually, before the tests came out, I concluded myself through some research, through some similar symptoms, that I figured out that I had MS, multiple sclerosis. And after a few days, the tests came out positive that yes, I was diagnosed with MS. But in the meantime, I already took the time to process the shock that I had. So once the doctor announced it to me, I almost said yeah, I know, take it easy. I'm not gonna be shocked because I've already understood that, and I already processed the emotion at that time. So yeah, that was phase one of the emotional impact, getting these news of this is an autoimmune disease and quite a serious and painful one. Could be painful, could be quite difficult to live with, or it could be manageable and many people live with it without actually presenting any symptoms. So yeah, that was the beginning of the story. After that, phase two was to really process even deeper the emotion. So I said, okay, first of all, okay, this is not fair. I've always had a healthy lifestyle. I always trained my body. I always been following a healthy diet, everything. I was looking for explanations, logical explanations why it shouldn't be happening. So nothing around me in my external environment or my lifestyle was really a trigger to that, except my own thinking, except the idea inside me that somehow triggered my brain into defending itself against itself and eventually causing harm to my own body, which was presented in this symptom of a double vision. So I asked myself, okay, why is this happening? Because I always want things to make sense, right? I always want to find answers because I believe there is a root cause to everything. There's a universal law that is the law of cause and effect. Nothing is really happening randomly. We see things and we conclude that they are random just because we cannot find an explanation. And if a solution presented itself, we would call it a miracle just because we cannot really put it in an equation and figure out the variables that ended up in that result. So that was for me, I wouldn't say a long journey, but quite a deep one. So I started asking myself some difficult questions, like what was within me that triggered my brain into thinking that it had to fight certain parts of my body, certain parts of myself. And that was one of the most difficult or hard discussions that I ever had with anyone. And I think having discussions with yourself is quite hard because you can very easily distract yourself. Your brain can play games with you. You can just like forget what you were thinking about and get distracted by something else and not go back to the discussion. It's not like someone is really in front of you. You have to answer the question. So I used writing a lot. For me, writing was very therapeutic, and I wrote over and over again until the answers came out. And it was quite difficult to admit that, yes, at some point of my life, I said something out loud that made me believe this idea quite deep into my subconscious mind that, yes, this part of me was not okay and I needed to get rid of it. And my brain was just I mean, the body is a manifestation or a tool of the mind. So my brain just did what my mind was suggesting, and I ended up developing this autoimmune disease.
Wow, that's some journey, isn't it? And a powerful explanation of how absolutely powerful our minds are, that we can manifest symptoms and diagnoses and disease in our body. And it's not just that we've thought it and therefore we think we've got it. We physically have got that health problem or those symptoms.
Yeah. And you know, a disease is always, or at least most of the time, initiated by a thought or an emotion or a feeling that is not expressed the right way, that we really haven't honored. So, my takeaway from this journey was I need to really express my feelings. I shouldn't be suppressing them because logically, suppression on an emotional level will turn into depression on an intellectual and mental level, and then depression will cause all kinds of diseases. And you know, my mentor said to hyphenate the word disease is dis-ease. It's just a body that is not at ease. And your body, since it's just a manifestation of your mind, it has to do with your mind. So you have to go back to there. I mean, I said most of the time this is the case because I mean, we agree that many times it's maybe caused like by a virus or something that is beyond our control, but most of the time it's really up to us to go back to the mind and see what's happening there.
Absolutely. And can you share what you did on your own healing journey to heal the multiple sclerosis?
So first of all, I started with these questions that I needed to ask myself and this introspection journey. But I knew, like on an intellectual level, that still there is the physical part to heal. Like, okay, we are now at peace with my mind, but still I need to do something on a physical level. Like I need to use something to heal. So I had the choice either to listen to the doctors who were literally like drawing me tables and lists of medicine and all kinds of drugs, and then next to them the side effects, and asking me to choose what side effect I would tolerate. And the side effects were like hair loss, acne, depression, anxiety. I couldn't get pregnant. I don't know, like things like that. And I had to choose, like, okay, I prefer hair loss today. And I mean, that was quite silly. And I thought, like, I cannot let myself do that. I owe it to myself to do something better. And I know there's something better because I already figured out that I was the origin of the problem. And I know better that there is in nature a solution, a cure for every problem, for every disease. So this was part two of the healing journey for me to go and look for natural ways to heal, and all with taking it also on myself to heal on an intellectual and an emotional level. So the natural way that I found was to use adaptogens, and these adaptogens were mushroom tinctures, and these mushroom tinctures were chaga, reishi, cordyceps, and lion's mane. I still take them up until today. It's not because I need them anymore, but I really love their effect. They bring clarity to the mind, and they help the immune system. They help with anxiety. They help for a better sleep quality. They have all sorts of virtues that I really love. So So yeah, this is what I used for my healing journey.
Hey, sorry to interrupt, but I just wanted to drop in and say thank you so much for listening to the podcast. And this isn't the only way I help people. I also have a book and a course called Heal Yourself, and I do one-to-one client coaching. Periodically, I run workshops and do some public speaking too. All these details are on my website, sarahdawkins.com. So with that, let's get back to this great episode. That's fabulous. I have heard a couple of people using different mushrooms for different types of healing. And one of the ladies in my book relates to one of the mushrooms as well. They are so potent and so incredibly powerful for healing our brain, our mind, our thoughts, elevating our mood. Is there anybody that you could think of that shouldn't take the mushroom tinctures? Are they contraindicated for anybody?
I had a colleague of mine that was diagnosed by the exact same disease as me at the same time, and she was actually like our head of HR. So I was talking to HR, like saying I have a disease and whatever, and she was like, "What's your disease?" And I said MS, and she said, "Yeah, I have it too." I was like, "Okay." So that was quite funny. And then eventually she was asking me like, what are you doing? You seem to getting better day after day, and you're not really suffering anymore. And she was having the symptoms on her like on a mobility base, like she couldn't really walk properly and things like that, and she was really suffering, and that would cause her anxiety, and then eventually she had to quit the job, and we stayed in contact, and I like told her what I was using, these adaptogens and everything. But in the meantime, she listened to the doctors and she started taking the medication. And when she told her doctor, like, a friend of mine is using adaptogens, can I take them also with the medication that um, by the way, was not really doing anything to her, like the symptoms were still persisting. The doctor said, like, no, you cannot take the adaptogens and the I think it was like immunosuppressants or things like she was taking. So she had to make a choice, all with like same that I did, and she decided to go with the medication. So I think you cannot take the adaptogens if you are already on immunosuppressants.
Right. That's worth knowing for anybody listening as well, and important. And as you said, it started in the mind. So your first port of call was literally mind dumping through writing, just to find out what was going on in your mind. And that's such a great way to find out as well, isn't it? Because when we just write and write and write and just allow ourselves to write uncensored, it
Mm-hmm.
highlights a lot of things that we often don't know about, we're not conscious about. And once we start doing that, we can see what really is going on in our subconscious or unconscious mind, and then be able to start to work with it. So you've done the physical and the writing and the mushrooms, and did you do some emotional work with yourself?
Yes, I did. So the emotional work, actually, it started by doing a research on YouTube. I still remember the day. I did a research on YouTube about the law of attraction, because I knew that there was this law of attraction, that somehow I attracted the disease and somehow I can control what I attract. This is basically what the law mentions, that we can actually decide what we attract if we can switch to the vibration of what we want, to the frequency of what we want. So I understood on some level that I was on a frequency that allowed my body to do this. So I had to shift frequencies. And we shift frequencies by shifting the way we feel, the way we process emotions. And if we go like a step over that, we have to control our thoughts, because our thoughts control the feelings control the actions, and the actions will eventually manifest in the body and eventually in our results. Could be something good, could be something bad. It all starts with our thoughts, with our mind. So on an emotional level, what I did is working with this concept of the law of attraction. I ended up learning a lot about the mind, about the subconscious mind, and how to really change frequencies, and the fact that when you change your vibrational level, the kind of emotions that you are feeling, and also the kind of ideas that you can process and that you can entertain will change. And once you change those, everything else will follow.
Beautiful. And because our mind is just so powerful, so incredibly powerful. And I think most of us, until we become conscious of that awareness of how powerful our mind is, we just float along through life on autopilot without giving it a second thought. But once we start delving into that, there is so much to learn,
Oh yeah.
and we can affect our health so incredibly positively
Hmm.
by changing our mindset, and like you say, working with the law of attraction, the cause and effect. There's always, when we're seeing the effect, we can often trace the cause, but we have to come back inwards, don't we, and ask ourselves some challenging questions.
Absolutely. And there's also like an easy way to use this cause and effect law, because we can think of the effect that we desire, the end result that we seek, and then figure out, okay, what could be the cause that will eventually generate this result? So we're thinking backwards. We're not thinking about, oh, this is the problem that I have, this is the disease, or this is the challenge, or this is the emotion that I cannot process. I will rather think about what kind of state of mind and state of body and what kind of level of health do I want? I want this. And then I have to describe it like quite literally, quite in detail, because I need the image to be clear for my mind to process and to entertain over and over again. Then I will use it in a meditation, in journaling, in a vision board. It could be really anything that speaks to you. So start with the end result, and then start thinking about ways to achieve that end result, and then stick to the emotion of the end result, not the emotion of the current result that you are facing, that you cannot really process, that will eventually turn into suppression of the emotion and eventually to a disease. So stick to the emotion of the end result, go there and stay there in your mind. Like you can train yourself to do meditation or to just focus on the image of yourself healed and feeling great. Like feel the blood in your veins, feel like the way you're breathing, and with each breath really just visualize health and fitness and strength and like entering your body. I would do this exercise many times, as many times as I can, even for a few seconds. It's just the repetition that works.
Yeah, and the other thing is the mind doesn't know the difference between a visualization with that emotion and
Yes,
actually something happening in our reality physically. So if the more we
absolutely.
can do that, the more we can almost trick our mind into believing. And once our mind believes it, that's when the magic happens.
Yeah, exactly. Once the mind believes it, it will start acting on it immediately, and you will see results, even if the cause isn't there yet. But still, your mind believed it. Like the same way my mind believed that something was wrong about my body, that it needs to attack itself. It was not true, obviously, but still, I spoke it in a way that I believed it, and eventually the result just shows up. So I love what you said about the subconscious mind will take everything literally, and will take every vision, if it's entertained and associated with an emotion, it will take it literally and transform it into a reality, into a manifestation. The subconscious mind does not have any sense of humor, and it cannot decide whether or not it's real. So we have to use that to our advantage.
Yeah, and I know a lot of top athletes use that visualization with
Yeah.
emotion to see themselves winning. So
Mhm.
why can we not use it to see ourselves healing? It's the same principle.
And more than that, we use it because we usually use it more in a negative way than in a positive way. Unfortunately, more people now are like uh, how do I say, simulating conversations and fights and conflicts in their mind, even without them happening, or like thinking about that email that I need to respond to, and what would the response be like, and then I would say this, and I should have said that. It's actually a visualization. It's so well done. So you have to use that strength that you already have in a different way. But for some reason, our brain is more inclined to thinking negatively than positively, and this is actually a genetic um, thing. It's like the mind, the brain is wired for survival. So in order for us to survive in the jungle before, we needed to be really aware of the danger. So we are so wired into detecting that danger and then processing different scenarios on how to escape. So the brain is not there for you to be happy and fulfilled and joyful. It's for you to survive. But the mind is more powerful than that, and you have power over both.
Exactly, exactly. And can I ask, Nina, how long it took for you to recover once you'd started doing the work? What kind of time frame?
I would say a couple of months, maybe 2 to 4 months, and
Right?
eventually the symptoms just faded. But you know, when you're sick and eventually you start to feel better, you kind of like it just fades away. You're not even noticing. So it does not, when it does not hurt anymore, or it does not present itself anymore, you kind of like forget about it, forget that it even existed in the first place. So like, okay, this was always the way to be. So for me, it was like that. Like the symptoms really dissipated in a very soft yet quick way. And not only that, but once I discovered this amazing power of my mind, and I dove deeper and deeper into the power of the subconscious mind, and I listened to many mentors about that, the law of attraction, the law of vibration, and I read many books. I ended up switching my whole career and quitting my job to start this business in coaching, because now I want every person to learn how to harness this power of the subconscious mind and to use it to achieve like any result you want. Could be healing, as it started with me, but it could also be any result that you want. It could be the house of your dreams, it could be having children, it could be finding the love of your life, it could be your next $1 million, it could be really anything you want. You have to just go to that vision and stay there, and then think from the result up to the cause, to find ideas, to get inspired, and then eventually to find a way to manifest it.
That's so powerful. Thank you for sharing that. And I know you've shared a lot of tips on your own healing, but if there's one tip you could share with somebody today on their own healing journey from MS, what would it be?
Um, so you should work both on the spiritual level, but never forget the physical level. So I didn't just sit there and meditated for hours until I healed. This is not the way it works. I also made sure I didn't eat any like things that would cause any inflammatory reaction. I started going to the gym more often, and I stuck to a much healthier diet than before. So things like that, that little things that you need to still incorporate in your lifestyle, with that spiritual way of, could be meditation, could be journaling, could be any work that you would do with your healer, your coach, your mentor. But still, the physical thing have also very big importance. And for me, was the adaptogens, sustaining a very healthy lifestyle and really paying attention to my body.
So be making your life more conscious, living your life more consciously.
Yes. Yeah.
Super. Thank you. And where can people find you?
So I'm on social media. It's Nina Robert. On Instagram, it's Nina Robert _coaching, or my website is ninarobertcoaching.com. I have published 2 books. The first one was literally just after that healing process, that I called Clean Up Your Life. It's literally a summary of things that I did. I didn't really talk about like the disease and why I was doing these things, but I wanted it to be a summation of things to do around your life. And I divided it to 5 aspects: your time, your body, your mind, your house, and your environment, and little tips on how to do a cleanup of these areas. And the second book that I just published a few weeks ago is called Mind Fitness. And Mind Fitness, it's about the mental faculties, and again, about how to use them to achieve the results that you want. Both books are on Amazon.
Congratulations on your books, Nina.
Thank you, Sarah.
And thank you for sharing your healing journey on the Heal Yourself with Sarah Dawkins podcast.
It was really a pleasure being here, and thank you for allowing me to share my story, Sarah.
Thank you for listening. Please share this podcast with anyone who you think will benefit. And can you leave me a review wherever you've listened to it to help me reach more people? Thank you.